Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel One Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel One TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel One TV. You understand?
This is Channel One TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel One Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel One TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel One TV. You understand?
This is Channel One TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
morning, and welcome to your favorite Sunday morning TV show, Sunday Breakfast, we call it, right here on Channel 1 TV. With myself, Jude Duncan, and of course,
Inu Safo.
Yeah.
How are you doing? It's Sunday. I'm sure you're getting ready to go to church, or you're relaxing and watching Sunday Breakfast. I mean, what other show would you want to watch on a Sunday morning?
yeah, I mean, yesterday we came away with Breakfast Daily Weekend, of course. Also very interactive, also very engaging. We appreciate all of your messages, your comments, your feedback, all that you have to say to us when the show is ongoing, and we want you to do same today as well via WhatsApp number 0204-447-033. All of your message, anything on your mind, just send. In fact, just tell us how you are doing this morning. We want to hear from you, because you literally get to drive the show. All the time for the past 4 weeks, you used to talk about breast cancer awareness month. Now I'm wondering what month it is. But yesterday, I know we celebrated the day to end impunity against journalists.
Yes,
that's a recognized day by the UN.
Yes, and some of our very own colleagues here have,
been victims of it, rather unfortunately.
But it's Diabetes Awareness Month.
Wow. I didn't know that.
It's Diabetes Awareness Month. So, and actually, it's one of those silent killer diseases, just creeps up on you. People really don't check their sugar levels. They don't even go and check for diabetes at all. And I'm speaking to you, Jude, because you love fizzy drinks.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I know growing up, anytime you'd be taking in a lot of like sugary products, they'd be like, diabetes, so we sort of like associate diabetes with sugar, with sugar. But there's a lot more, other lifestyle, habits, can also predispose you to diabetes. So maybe you want to take a moment to just pause, read about it. But you know what? This show has got you covered, because we have a health segment on this show where we discuss all pertinent issues that affect and concern your health. So it's a full package. You know what I'm talking about? Comprehensive package. So Charlie,
and as always, the show is live and interactive. So if you want to send in your messages, thoughts, concerns, questions, birthday wishes, anything at all, send it to the WhatsApp number 0204-447-033. 0204-447-033. Or alternatively, you can go on our social media pages, leave it with the hashtag Sunday Breakfast, or my social media handle, Inu_S, or Jude's at Mensa Duncan. Leave your messages and we'll share it with the rest of the world. And today's being Sunday, The Woman in You is showing at 6 p.m.
Yeah. With Zoe Abuberi, they just get the right people, right women who've done amazing within the space, and they ask them, they try to find out their journey and how it's been for them in their industry. I know the last episode that aired featured a gamer, right? When we talk about people who are in the gaming industry, it's a male-dominated space, right? So to find a woman doing amazing in there, it was quite a unique story. So we sat down with her, was talking about how she got into gaming, how the experience has been so far, the challenges, and what she's doing to help the next generation of female gamers. And for me, I thought that was quite interesting and really, really profound. Prior to that episode, she had also engaged, I think 2015, there was this kidnapping of Nigerian schoolgirls, right? Yeah. And one of the people or young ladies at the time who led serious advocacy to get the international community to rally behind the call to bring back the girls. I remember it was a really huge campaign with the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls. Zoe sat with the lady who spearheaded that particular campaign. The name just escaped me. And listening to such stories you'd ordinarily won't hear in the bulletins, in the news, and the way Zoe finds a way to just get all of those compelling stories, for me is quite interesting. So yeah, just tune in every Saturday, right, at Sunday, 6 p.m.
And also today, Balmel will be engaging with the youth from 5 to 7, and it'll be live on Channel 1 TV, DSTV Channel 363, GoTV 117, HD Plus Channel 108. Balmia engages the youth of Ghana Sunday, 3rd November 2024, live on Channel 1 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll be live here on our station. Do you have any of the websites opened yet?
I have citynewsroom.com with me, and like you rightly said, it's also here the story about Bawumia's later engagement with the youth of the country happening in all 16 regions and on all major TV stations is featured on the City Newsroom online portal. Also here, we will ignore NDC's insults. You are focused on winning December polls. That's coming in from Vice President and MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Promote peace ahead of December elections. Ojiahoho JB II tells chiefs, stop bragging and fix the economy. Franklin Kujo tells government. 2024 polls, NDC will resist any ballot printing manipulation. And that's coming in from former President John Dramani Mahama and NDC flag bearer. Afrobarometer report, low trust in EC, depressing. Franklin Kujo with that one. And also, yesterday, Charlie.
I'm wondering which of the issues you're talking about, because a lot happened yesterday.
Yesterday we were talking on the show about how it's been a busy news week, right?
Yes.
And you hope that over the weekend,
it'll be calm,
so
that we can rest small.
Then now people have decided to go and rob what we now know to be a jewelry shop.
Yeah.
Throw cash in the air, shoot indiscriminately, and you're wondering, like, what's the country turning into?
But to be honest with you, I was wondering why the owners of the jewelry shop were moving the money themselves.
That's a different conversation for another day. Because
you are tempting.
Some way.
you are tempting people.
There are too many questions, and we don't have all the facts.
The answers and the facts.
We don't have all the facts today, so we'll limit to what we saw in the video. But like you're saying, I agree with you, spot on. It raises so many questions, right? The mode of transportation of the cash. We are transporting cash, and you're so like casual and like the leisurely attitude. I said on driving on come could be. Then all of a sudden people jump, start shooting. No, some way. So the police have gone there. It elicited some interesting. People started. When the thing happened, people rushed onto the scene. People were holding the shell casings of the bullets and all of that, and it raised concerns as to whether we had a police forensic team in this country.
Apparently, we do.
Yeah.
And they have all the tools that they need to work. But I think it also raises another concern about whether citizens know that you're not supposed to go within a certain, parameter or meter of where the incident happened and not lift those shell casings, because now all your fingerprints are on it. And they need to, pick all of those evidence and check. So no, we have the tools at our disposal.
Yeah, but
so you're right. We are using it 100%.
It's a conversation
on its own.
So you're right. At Abraka, so we know one person got injured from what we heard in the news. But the MP will later visit the scene, talk to the media, complain about what she describes as an increasing spate of robbery attacks in the area. The concern for other people to aside what you raise about how we distort the crime scene is also the police response time. Because we know Adabraka very well.
There's
right?
a police station.
Somebody was asking me how long would they have taken the police, or how long would the police would got into the scene if they heard of it on time. And I'm like, in 50 seconds they could have been there, right? As to whether they had what it took in terms of the ammunition and everything to go, the police should. So another angle to this has been the response time by the police, because the videos we've seen were like 2 minutes, 3 minutes long.
Which is people, weird, because they have across the street.
They have so much time to throw money in the air. And the area is a very enclosed area, right? So, like I said, when the facts come out, we would update the public. But that was also a shocker, honestly, to see in the news yesterday. So the footage of the daylight robbery incident at Adabraka is on the citynewsroom.com online portal. If you've not seen it, you can go there, and on all City FM, Channel 1 TV, social media platforms. Police on manhunt for armed robbers involved in the Adabraka daylight robbery. Escalating conflict escalating conflict forces workers of NEDCO, Ghana Water Company Limited, to vacate post in Boku, and Supreme Court ruling an error. And former NDC Director of Legal, Abraham Amaliba, speaking on the 4 vacant seats matter. And finally, cholera outbreak kills 5 in Kaswa, 30 still on admission. And then to some international stories still on the citynewsroom.com. Badenoch promised change after historic Tory leadership win. And we understand that the new Conservative Party, or the Conservative Party in the UK, have a new leader who was raised in Nigeria, right, and of UK. So congratulations to her. She promises change after historic leadership win for the Conservative Party in the UK.
So I have channel1news.com. The one is the digit 1. And some of the top stories on channel1news.com. Choko Santana residents resist construction of toilet borehole facilities. I'm proud we maintain free senior high school despite challenges. Akufo-Addo. Eyewitnesses describe how Adabraka robbery unfolded. Watch CCTV footage of daylight robbery at Adabraka. Will tirelessly work to arrest Adabraka robbery suspects. That's according to the police. More trending news. The chat hosted by Eko Kumsin. I'm excited to be performing in Ghana. Brain Jota says, joining Massive Tribe was a blessing to my career. That's according to Feli Nuna. Eyewitnesses describe how Adabraka robbery unfolded. BOG to appeal court ruling on CDH savings and loans license revocation. Clement Korte, Ghana's first Olympic medalist, passes on. East Legon accident accused was showing off Jaguar speed leading convoy of 3 SUVs. Kaswa cholera outbreak claims 5 lives, 30 others hospitalized. NPP National Youth Wing applauds UTAG for resuming classes in student interests. Memphis Central NDC seeks to quash court injunction with fresh suits. If you come to graphiconline.com, police on the hunt for a gang that robbed jewelry shop in Adabraka. Disease outbreaks now common in Ghana. That's according to the Ghana Health Service. We've chosen Ekuyadonko's replacements. That's according to the Ghana Freedom Party. Shraj pushes for human rights in schools. Any other stories?
Just some international headlines now. U.S. election live. Harris appears on Saturday Night Live. Trump in South Carolina. More than 75 million Americans have already cast their ballots. This is according to the election lab at the University of Florida. You know, our election is just about some 18 million people, right, registered voters. And in the U.S., more than 75 have already voted. You know, it's not even official voting day yet. Harris stops Trump in Iowa in latest register poll. Also here, so it's mainly U.S. elections. Ahead of U.S. elections, lawyers fight over ethics breach accusations. Biden makes final stop for Harris in Scranton, his childhood hometown. On to some international political stories. Israeli naval force detains person after landing in Lebanese coastal town, sources say. And so these are some of the big stories on Reuters. I'm trying to get CNN as well. But I think we can just start delving into some of the stories.
Okay, I have CNN here. Harris and Trump make swing through battleground states. New state polling shows a close race in blue all states as candidates deliver their final pitches. Kemi Badenoch wins conservative leadership contest, pitching party to the right after blowout UK election loss, and other stories. But let's, have you opened a story or should I?
Yes, so we'll ignore NDC's insults. You are focused on winning December polls. That's coming in from MPP flag bearer Dr. Bawumia. So the new Patriotic Party flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stated that his campaign will stay focused despite what he calls insults from the National Democratic Congress, the NDC. He emphasized that the party remains committed in their bid to engage Ghanaians and tell their side of the story and campaign on issues as against the NDC's approach of name-calling and insults. So that's coming in from the MPP flag bearer. You know, this is in relation to the whole comment from the NDC flag bearer when he used the economic phrase, it's the economy stupid, right? And, you know, people on social media can be diabolic sometimes. So, they'll cut it in a way and, you know, give pauses where they are not pauses and all of that to make it sound like it was a direct insult. But according to Bawumia, his campaign is focused on engaging the good people of Ghana. Let me just read a quote. He says, the NDC, sensing that they are losing the election, have resorted to insults. They have been insulting us. I believe you've heard some of the insults. We will not pay attention to them. We are confident of winning the elections. We will win the elections because of our good work. We are focused on embarking on developmental projects for all communities. We have developed the country. I know your concern is the road. The road from Tepa to Duaya and Kwanta is bad. I want you to commit all the roads in my hands. I'll fix the roads when I become president. I'll also construct a district hospital at Doma. So that's from the MPP camp as the election period heats up. Any other stories?
So I have a story from Channel One News. Choco Santana residents resist construction of toilet borehole facilities. Adratting Krama brought that in. I watched it on CNR yesterday and I had a good laugh. So the residents of Choco Santana in the Ablekuma South District of Greater Accra, they're opposing a district assembly plan to build a toilet facility and borehole in their community, describing the project as unnecessary. Residents claim the assembly did not engage them properly and ignored their actual needs. They warn they will actively resist any attempt to proceed with construction. The conflict centers on an open plot of land in Choco Santana, currently used partly as a refuse site and partly as a football field. Channel One News' investigations revealed that the assembly intends to use the land for a borehole and toilet facility to improve sanitation. However, community members argue that existing facilities nearby are sufficient and that adding another toilet would be a waste of resources. Now, one of them says it's almost 35 days to the elections. How are they going to construct a new toilet facility? We have a 40-seater toilet facility. People do not even patronize it, and we do not see the need for an additional one. The assembly member for the area, Theophilus Nipapokwe, reports that multiple attempts to halt the construction have been unsuccessful, and he's appealing for the project funds to be redirected to more urgent local needs, such as a drainage system, which he says is a higher priority for residents. Initially, when I saw Adwa's interview with the youth, I was wondering, why would anyone oppose the construction of a toilet? But you have to agree with them. If they already have a 40-seater one, which they're not even patronizing, why build a 35-seater one on a place where they, go there to play football? Obviously, they'll resist it. So, yeah. Wow. Interesting dynamics. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because
they are resisting.
While they are resisting toilet facilities in Kaswa, the situation is quite bad and deteriorating because a cholera outbreak has killed 5 and 30 are still on admission. Story by City News Central Regional Correspondent Calvin Status. So the story says 5 people have been confirmed dead, while 30 others are still on admission at the Kaswa Polyclinic and Mother and Child Hospital after a cholera outbreak hit the area. According to the Municipal Chief Executive for Ewutu Senya East, Anita Love Obo Emisa, 3 of the victims died on Thursday, October 31, while 2 others have also died Friday afternoon, bringing the death toll to 5. The MC expressed worry about the spread of the disease, calling on the people of Kaswa to be extra vigilant while ensuring they keep the environment clean and healthy. The MC explained that they have had referrals from other constituencies such as Ewutu Senya West and Gomwa East districts and called for a collaborative approach in dealing with the issue. The MC applauded the health authorities for their swift response in dealing with the outbreak, cautioning residents to be on the lookout. So there's some really rather sad story, because yesterday we were talking about the fact that, the death toll still remained at 2. Only to just finish the show, and now
at Kole Klote. but that was not the case. So that's what we were debunking.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that as at that time, we knew that the death toll was only still 2, but unfortunately after the show,
it has increased.
It's increased, and you know, we've discussed cholera on the show, right? And the point is that we need to just keep our environments clean. You know, we need to take out the filth, right? And when you do that, you reduce the risks or the exposure to this really terrible disease. So the MCs, you know, the assemblies, they have a huge role to play, because you know, they are primarily responsible for sanitation in our areas, right? But you don't see that much dedication. And you know, when you go back to the Afrobarometer report and you look at the level of public trust in the assemblies and in our assembly members, they are lowest on the bottom, because people feel that they get so much money from central government, but the monies are not being put into good use. Reasons why we see this level of filth and disorder and chaos in our communities.
But then my question is, must someone come and tell you to clean your environment before you do what you're supposed to do? You
know, it's very true for
yes, the assemblies must do their work, but you also have to keep your space clean and sanitary. And so the Ghana Health Service are advocating that, you know, we go back to the COVID-19 sanitary systems that were put in place. Hand washing, sanitizing your hands, especially before, after you visit the toilet. So I know somebody, even before they use the washroom, they wash their hands. After they wash their hands. You know, that's a level of...
I agree with you, right? I agree with you largely. But, you know, in some of the, you know, and even in Greater Accra, there's that rural communities in Greater Accra, right? So not just Accra, but like the whole region as a whole. There are pockets of rural communities here and there, and the responsibility of keeping their area or the communal center clean can't be left to just individual households, right? So in where the boundaries you define as your home or your house, I agree with you. You are primarily responsible. But that large drain that connects point A to point B, right?
Who's dumping the refuse into that large drain that's connecting point A to point B?
That is, but you know, so the lack of enforcement of rules, you know, can't be left to just the community members or the residents in the area. It is also a responsibility on, you know,
everybody must accept that they are to blame for the sanitary conditions in an area.
Point spot on.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the back then will stop with the assembly. How about that?
Okay.
You actually have a better argument, but you know. So maybe then we should just say that it's a collective responsibility. Even though I still feel that the back stuff in the assembly.
No. It's a collective responsibility.
It is, but the back stuff in the assembly.
Someone cleans their house and they'll come and dump it into the gutter.
Yeah, but you, the assembly.
And then you want the assembly to come and clean the gutter. How many times will the assembly come and clean the gutter?
So enforce or put in place restrictions. Right, that will
if you dump, will arrest you.
Thank you. And you know, if you don't enforce it, then you can't blame the people.
Well,
so you know, it's two-way somewhere.
It's a collaborative effort.
But the assemblies, they are not doing well, and that is why they are ranking low on the Afrobarometer report, and people think they are corrupt. Anyway, so I wanted to bring excerpts of the Adabraka incident, right? But I want you to go on the citynewsroom.com and read it for yourself. But I know some other really serious story, because in Boku, the escalating conflict is forcing workers of NEDCO and Ghana Water Company Limited, these are essential services, to vacate their post. Officials from the Ghana Water Company Limited and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company of Ghana have halted operations in Boku due to the volatile security situation in the area. City News investigations reveal that these officials have not reported to work since the conflict re-emerged, leaving critical water and electricity issues unresolved until they can return safely. Although heavy gunfire has ceased, sporadic gunshots are still reported at night, keeping tensions high. In response, the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, has called for calm and urged the public to avoid blame, emphasizing that government is working on solutions to restore stability in the area. Wow.
The Boko conflict is never ending.
We need to find a lasting solution.
A lasting solution to that. I totally agree with you. But let me quickly go through the story before we end this segment. East Legon accident, accused of showing off Jaguar speed, leading convoy of 3 SUVs. A bit of that story reads, the 16-year-old boy charged with manslaughter for allegedly causing a fatal accident in East Legon that resulted in 2 deaths, was reportedly leading a convoy of 3 SUVs and attempted to showcase the speed of the Jaguar F-Pace Sport, as stated by the court. The accused took the car and drove with a friend to ANC Mall, where they met additional friends waiting in 2 SUVs. The 3 vehicles formed a convoy with the accused leading in his mother's car as they drove through the East Legon area. When he appeared before the Family and Juvenile Court in Accra on November 1, he pleaded not guilty to all charges. The court has, however, remanded him to a correctional facility and ordered him to surrender his American and Ghanaian passports. He's scheduled to appear in court on November 7, and you can read the rest of the story on channel1news.com.
All right, so you quite recall in September 2022, right? So with the coming of the new British government at the time, Liz Truss coming into office, a gentleman of Ghanaian descent, right, who was British.
How long did he even last?
I know. It was a very short reign. I think from September to October or so. So he was appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK system of government, and we're celebrating because we
celebrating
celebrating Kakrabanche, but in the UK now. Kemi Badenoch wins Conservative leadership contest, pitching party to the right after blowout UK election loss. So the story is on the CNN World online portal, and she speaks on stage after she was announced as new leader of Britain's Conservative Party in London. So Britain's humbled Conservative Party elected Kemi Badenoch as its new leader on Saturday, turning to a right-wing favorite who has railed against identity politics, transgender rights, and state spending to rebuild its reputation after a devastating election defeat. Badenoch defeated Robert Jenrick in a vote of party members by 53,806 votes to 41,000 after a month-long contest to replace Rishi Sunak as leader. She's the first black woman to lead a major British political party. It's amazing because she's actually African, right? Her selection all but ensures a rightward shift to Britain's political discourse over the next several years and creates a jarring stylistic clash between the new opposition leader, Keir Starmer, Labour's serious and straight-laced Prime Minister. Taking the podium, she said it was the most enormous honor to be elected as the leader for the party that has given me so much. So congratulations to her, and we wish her a really fruitful tenure as leader of the Tories, and potentially who could become Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Yeah. So she's of Nigerian descent. We understand that she was raised in Nigeria, right? But is of course now a Briton, and she's been in the thing for some time. So there you have it on your screen. So yeah. These are the big stories. I don't know if we missed out on any story.
No, but if we did, they know where to find it. Channel1news.com, citynewsroom.com, and other websites. But that's our package for you. We'll be right back after this. Don't touch your remote.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working how?
Who's that? Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel One Television.
And hello, welcome to what the papers are saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel One TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. They have to catch up. City TV is now Channel One TV. You understand?
This is Channel One TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working how?
Who's that?
You're welcome back. Just gone by was the newspaper review segment, and now we're delving into the topic parenting, again stemming from incidents that have happened in the past, and so we thought it necessary to have a segment on parenting so that you and I both can learn ways to parent in this new dimension that we find ourselves. And so helping us with this is Reverend Cephas Amate. He was here last week. He's here again this week to help us with this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us again. How are you?
Thank you. Fine. You look good.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to actually have you two as well. Yeah. You know, yesterday, from last week, we had a lot of people sending messages that we couldn't read.
Oh, really?
Yes, so towards the end, we'll go back and read some of those messages. But I think we are having this conversation at the really right time, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the stories keep coming about how acts or one act of irresponsible parenting to another. So yesterday, for example, there was a robbery incident in Adabraka.
Yeah, my base.
I
grew up, I partially grew up there as well.
Wow.
You know,
and you know, from the reports of the eyewitnesses, we've not confirmed, we don't have the full facts, but it involved very young people as well, right? Some of the robbers engaged were young people. So then it goes back in a way to the question of what are we telling our young people in this country, and how has there been that sort of like moral decay?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but for some people it is what it is. So
but even before we go straight into that, let's, you know, before we recap what we did last week, let's put out our numbers, our WhatsApp numbers, 0204 447 033. 0204 447 033. Send in your questions, your concerns, and I'm sure Reverend Amate will be happy to respond to that. So last week, we talked about what parenting is all about.
That's right.
So if you can briefly recap that for us, for those who weren't able to watch us last week, and then we can delve straight into today's conversation.
Well, yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, basically we talked about understanding parenting, that fundamentally is about a baby God gives to a man and a woman in or out of wedlock, but the baby arrives. And from that moment on, is the parents and the guardian's duty to raise the child up to be functional, appropriately functional, positively functional in society. The child should be a benefit to himself or herself, and ultimately to the society at large. And we talked about, so we started talking about the miniature structures that one has to put in place that can best assist so that we can get the best out of the child. So that's what. Then we looked at the difficulties, and I was of the view, and I still retain that view, that you don't, a baby comes fresh.
Right.
So whatever the baby emerges to become, without the proper training, the blame goes 100% to the parents or the guardians. At a certain age, that changes. That switch comes in because many things can affect someone. But once the child is within your care, everyone can testify to the best you place in the child. But at the end of the day, once we talk about the baby coming to town and parenting, the responsibility of the child's rising, what he or she will end up doing, in many ways, at least until they are of age, as we've all recognized, the parents are responsible, the guardians are responsible. You can't pray against that.
Reverend, are there parenting styles? So then I have a way of parenting, Jude has a way of parenting, you have a way of parenting. Are there
yes, it varies.
styles,
yes.
or everybody,
Yeah, there are fundamentals, and then there are cultural related fundamentals as well, sorry. Because, for example, just on the other side of our border, we have the Nigerians.
Yeah.
Averagely and generally, when they greet, they curtsy, they really prostrate. Curtsy is even lighter. They virtually prostrate. We don't really do that here. Here we are more used to other lighter things, like you get your cap or cape or cap off or something. You don't wear it when you're greeting elders. I don't, unless you become a regularized person where I live, whatever it says, I don't like folks walking on young kids. You don't walk into my house with your cap on. I'm not gonna like it. So and you will be told. I will tell you. If they don't tell you, I'll tell you. Yes, I mean that's it. If you bring your friend and you don't tell them, they're being nice to them to get a nice reception. That's the way it works. Unless you're used to, you become part of it. So it's a structure. So parenting patterns vary. I mean, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Tasako and East Legon parenting will have a variation from Choco and maybe Medina or some other places, and both environments can and will produce positively very great kids, and both environments can and also will produce very bad kids. Not because they were just bad in isolation, but because how they were managed. In East Legon, Jiringano, and some of the places, now I hear about Airport Hill and all that stuff, So when we were growing up, airport, there was nothing like Airport Hills, but they've created it. Now listen, there are kids in very deprived areas, ghettos, they live in shacks and all that, and they are super kids, super kids. They can be surrounded by everything nasty. That will let them go kind of prodigal. They will not. It's the parenting. You could have the finest kids in the other side of the exclusive upper class of town. If they are not managed well, it could be nastier. And I will never forget what a young lady told me years ago, early years, I think, City. And she said, Reverend, one thing I want to tell you is this. When you see us in those big houses, you see us in those mansions, and with our parents' cars, everybody seems to envy us, but they don't know what we live with inside. Sometimes all that we see covers many things. We are not happy. And I remember once she said, there are kids who are flown out. Nobody can manage it. The parents are going somewhere. So they are bringing, can be found everywhere. It's the management, it's the person managing the child that makes the essential difference. And I think that's very important. You know, one thing I need to say today, one of the big problems, and if we can handle that, for some it's too late, but for those bringing up kids now, one of the fundamentals that I feel parents should learn to do with their children, which you don't learn. That's why it says, instead of parenting the kids rather parent the parent.
Yeah.
It's just one word. Listen. How you got to train a child to listen. That is the core failure of every other thing that ripples. All the ripple effects come from there. You have to teach a child to listen. Look, you have to have the patience to get that little boy to listen. It may take time, but you have to have the patience. You have to have the patience to get that little girl to listen. If you can get them to listen.
But then the question would be, listen to what, right? Because if the parent doesn't have that kind of depth, right, to give or to then impact into the child, then what's really the point in listening?
First of all, what the child has to listen to is just the word listen. Listen. Nothing. Listen. You don't have to hear what the parent is about to say or the guardian is about to say. I'm talking about structure here. I'm talking about getting the child to be stable.
Okay.
Just sit. Listen. Listen. You need to be able to get your son to sit down. For what? You don't have to sit down for something.
Just sit.
Yeah, sitting in itself protects you sometimes.
So the military rule of obeying before you know, how do you say it?
Well, it took the wind out of my sails. Now, I'll give you a short story that best illustrates it, and now we're going to fly a little.
Okay.
Look, years ago, a CEO of one of the airlines, and they don't pay, so I'm not mentioning anybody's name, did a research. He had to come in and take over an airline. The planes are good. Everything shows, the black box shows that there was really no major fault. This plane should not have crashed. I want a graphic picture to illustrate my point about kids. So when he took over the airline, he did a research, studied everything, and then he went to the background or when the plane was purchased, the history of the flights and everything. Then they noticed something. A lot of the crashes or problems happen not when they were out there going, but when they are coming into land, and mostly at home, not outside. They did a further research, so they did a research on the pilots. And then the man saw something. Say, let's say we are looking at 10 planes that have had a crisis. If one plane has a crisis, a major crisis. And then they detected something. 8 out of the 10 planes that had issues, all the pilots were pure civilian pilots.
Oh.
And then they pulled out they have what's the word? They get the details, the data, the communications are all there, you print out. Then you realize something. Then the man came up. That's how he solved the problem. What he noticed, so that's why, because of the military, that's why I'm saying the quick story. Then he noticed what had happened. And he said, from now on, we are not taking, anytime there's an option for a military trained pilot, when they retire from there, they have a service, an hour stretch, where after that you can retire. If there's an option between a civilian A pilot and a military B pilot, they will go for the military guy. Here's what happened. When the planes are coming in, all kinds of things can happen. There can be a gear issue, tires, So at that moment from the tower, you have to give an order to the pilot. Maybe brake. I mean, he has filed in his landing lines. So he's supposed to follow it strictly. That's what I've been trained to do.
Yeah.
So when you give a contrary order from this side, it's not what he's been trained to do, because he's already spoken to you a few seconds or minutes ago and filed his landing lines. When that happens, they realize that whenever they said, move to this side or move to that side, there'll be a question from the civilian pilot. Why? You just confirmed my flight. The military guys never did that. Once you gave the order,
they'll follow.
Yeah, they hit it and then they ask later.
From a superior.
Yes, because of the training.
The training.
And if you watch, after a few years, most of the security companies realize that when they get in for the retired, they go for the retired military guys to man their lines especially the gold company and all that. They are more adhering to the rules and guidelines. That's what I'm saying.
There was order.
Order, that's all I'm saying. See, order. Telling a child to sit and listen is so important. They don't have to do anything. If you watch, you see sometimes some of them will put sweets and things for their children and say, Mom and Dad, you are coming with a camera to watch. How long do you take? That's because you are training the child. I talk about self-control. We should always be prioritized over self-esteem the other time.
Yeah.
So that is key. All of us here, we've got to have order. We must have a certain order, and we do that by listening. So I think one of the things we are failing is listening. You talk to parents. The kids are not listening. But we taught them not to listen. Because we don't have the time. We don't have the time to say, Kofi Tabie, Kwame, sit here. We are in a hurry to go, so whether they sit or not, we just let it go. But teach them to listen. I watched a movie, I don't know whether it was Jean-Claude Van Damme, one of those guys, and in the stadium, he told the child, whatever happens, don't get up. Whatever happens here, he knew what was happening. He didn't want to tell the child. So I think that if we spoke about nothing, but we talk about people learning to listen, learning to sit, it's so important. We have these complaints. Look, nothing is more terrible than an uncontrollable child. Nothing. Because you can't beat the child. You can't maltreat the child. You love the mother, you love the kids, the mother is good to you, but you could see the unruliness. You can have a parent in here, you can't just keep them here because of a child that has been allowed to go and guard it. And you see, here's the thing. Those little things we see at 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, 5, 7 years, it is what encapsulates in the major issue that blows. So it's never just from nowhere. It came from somewhere.
You know, and I don't even want to go back too much into the incident, right, that led to the death of the 2 young girls. But if you listen to some commentary, people close to it, they tell you that, so for example, when this minor took the car and went to crash into these 2 girls who would eventually lose their lives, we hear reports about how there have been instructions upon instructions trying to prevent the minor from driving the said vehicle. Now we are being told that it was even somebody other than the parents who gave the keys because the parents refused. So I think it goes back to your point about, you know, if they insisted so much on the need for the child to listen, right, there wouldn't be a back and forth, right, as to still going back for the keys or still wanting to drive when clearly the laws of the land don't permit the use of such a vehicle. So I resonate a lot with this point you're making.
You know, I was talking about a baby born with a clean, fresh slate.
Yeah.
What they get is what we get. And
in psychology, they call it tabula rasa.
Wow, oh, that's great. I see.
Yeah.
What they get is what we give to them.
Right.
To a certain age. At a point, you can't just hold them. That's why over the years, the system has structured it such that this is where, from below this age, the parent and the guidance are responsible. Above this age, they are no longer responsible.
Yeah.
But, you know, why I also emphasize the grounds, the foundational, is because about 15, 20 years ago, CNN did one of the finest documentaries CNN has ever done. I've not gone back on it in many years, but it's called Born Bad. And the idea was to prove whether, no matter what you do, a child can go bad. Because of, you know, they're looking at criminals, the criminal system and extreme lifestyle, you know, and the thing seemed to show. I mean, the idea of the concept was to prove something. Is it character that determines destiny, or is it destiny that determines the character? You know, and of course there's a combination here. But the status, what they did to a point also showed that even out of 100 children, you can get 1 or 2 who would just, for whatever has gone wrong in their genes, they will just go that way. It doesn't matter. You know, you could get Jesus counseling them every morning. You get the Holy Ghost just changing, rewiring them. They're going to go that way. And so they call that program Born Bad. That there are people, I mean, they just, and you know, even as we grow up, you could see the traits of all of us. I mean, everybody can go back. Your aunties who you've not seen for 20 years or 30 years can come back and tell you how they saw you growing up. Sure. They can always tell, most of the time they can tell you. And that is why the structures has to be there. Kids must learn to listen. Your children are not your friends. I mean, we have a very soft society, chocolate society, where a parent just want their kids to be their friends. That's wrong. Your children are not your friends.
I was about to ask what role parents play. Are they our
Major.
friends?
They are your parents. Listen, your kids are not your friends. They are your kids.
Yeah.
You are still one of them. Now, you can be friendly. I didn't say don't be friendly.
Yeah.
No. You can be friendly, warm, and welcoming. But they are not your friends. They are under your care. They are not supposed to like you. You don't want to. They're not supposed to like you.
Right.
They are supposed to celebrate you when the time comes. It is a seed time. It's seed time. Seed time. When you pull in the weeds from around the tomato or something that is growing, in the concept of the tomato, since I'm the smallest one, these weeds shade me. But the farmer knows that these weeds will kill you eventually. So they remove the weeds and you wish that you can have more sun. But now that the weeds are gone, I'm getting more sunlight, which I don't want now. But they have to go because they will choke you. So parents must define how they want to raise their children. If they'll be your friends, probably it depends. But it doesn't matter. You are supposed to raise them. And raise them right.
Wow. Reverend Cephas, it's interesting. We could do this for like the next 2 hours. For a lot of people, we are told that parenting never ends, right? So right from the very moment of conception up until the child is late in their 90s or whatever, we know parenting never ends. What would you say is the most crucial part of or bit of parenting within the whole process of parenting?
Well, greetings to my below 80 mates at Accra. But we had a term in Accra. It's quite popular all over the schools. CTY. Catch them young. Possibly even before the baby is born. Oh yeah, she gets the point. You know, she's a lady. But catch them young. It is not only with the ladies. You catch them young. And ideally, it can even start before the child is born. Because, you know, we are genetic beings, but we are also phenotypic beings. In other words, our genes, our bloodline, and all those things that create us as physical beings is one part of our development. The other is an environment. You can take the best seed in the world. Listen, you could have Bernard Avley fly to anywhere in the world and get you the best cocoa seed. If you bring that seed and share it for us, and based on how the environment is managed, the environment defines what happens to your seed. I hear there's a type of shark, right? If you put it in like an aquarium, I don't care what you feed it. It's not, I don't know. I don't have the name, but no matter what you feed it, it will grow to a certain level. 5 years, 4 years, if it's alive, it will not grow, expand. Immediately you put it into something bigger, it will start growing. So our environments are also key to this part of our lives. As a parent, have a structure for the children. Let them understand that this is right and this is wrong. Whatever they are will show later, but the foundationals you instill in them will protect them. That's the issue. Now, when issues come out publicly sometimes, look, I'll tell you this. It's very painful that those who judge you are equal to you. The only difference is degrees. Your case has been exposed. So far, theirs haven't. And that's the sad part of life. Parenting is crazy. I sit here to talk. It doesn't mean you got it all perfect with your children. But you have to be with them. Yes, parenting, we say maybe it's forever, but really, it's not really forever. The love of the parents, the relations there. See, the Bible is very beautiful. It has two words. One is obey. And one is honor. You obey your parents in the Lord. And then now as a grown-up, you honor your parents. You get it? But the little years from the speaking good things, that's why you have to manage your lady very well when she's expecting. Because all these things, they believe also has an effect. A depressed mother is not the best for a child. So you must, when a lady is pregnant, she should become a social responsibility for everybody, to keep her, to cheer up. Because all the mood swings they get. We should give her every support she needs before the child is born, because that gives us a head start.
Right.
If the mother is psyched up well, she says good things to herself. A woman who is pregnant should learn to worship more. Worship more. Don't be more interested in where the guy is. No. Be more interested in worshiping. Get yourself psyched up well. So when before the child is born, something positive is there. The child knows the mom. The baby is born, and the baby they have this connection with the mother. That's why once the baby is born, the first thing they want to try and do is get the baby to the mom. And even twins, sometimes I remember a story of a twin. One was very sick and almost dying, and then they picked the one that was parting ways. Immediately they got them in the one cot. This one started coming back to life. So it starts from a baby, the birth. That once a child is born, everything around the child should be positive. Growing up, God bless my mother's memory, but I remember that apart from my mother raining the insults, when there's a new baby from anybody, do you know they like these babies around you? You bring your child, come and live there and go to work. You are not supposed to make insults around the baby. She's the only one who can insult anybody. But maternal powers. So I think our language around the kids are also important. Now, before we go, I want to say this, because this is very, very important to me. When it comes to kids, and I know all of you have been trained, we were all trained like that, but I've never subscribed to it. I don't believe that in the saying that, whatever I tell you, do what I do. It doesn't work. It's not training a child. You don't train a child that way. What a parent, yes, you follow instructions as a child. You don't overlook the instructions and say you want to do what I'm doing. No, you are not my age. You are not my age. I mean, like, you do what I say, not just what I'm doing.
Right. We have some questions. We have some, we are doing this for our viewers. And they've sent in so many questions. Let's and I'll just delve into some of them.
So one here says, I'm watching from Ashaiman. Teachers in schools, in a way, play a parenting role once the child...
is a fine place to raise tough kids,
Once the child goes to school. So how do biological parents marry their upbringing and that of the teachers?
I think I covered that last week. I was very strong that I put the responsibility on the parents. Because, first of all, creche has a start and an end period. Very short. Then KG, they have a period. And then class 1 to 6, it has a period. Then JHS 1 to 3, it has a period. SHS 1 to 3. Now they even have 1 week for 1 year. We don't want to talk about that. So that one also has a period. So all these phases of a child's upbringing, there's only one constant: the mom and the dad or the guardian.
True.
So the back never rests with the school. I really absorb the school because our system is nasty now. The world system is nasty. We have all kinds of crazy things being tried to be pumped into schools. I mean, you fill in a form now. There's gender, Ghana, male, female, other. So I don't want to go there, but the parents must be responsible because these are your kids. They carry your name. They don't carry the math teacher's name or the headmistress' name or the school's name. Nobody is called Odadia. Nobody is called Bleo. So I'm not saying they don't have something to do. No, they have something to do, but they reinforce what has been laid in. So even then, we even have to ask ourselves, who qualifies to teach your child? The math teacher is called to teach mathematics, but is that all they're teaching your children? What is the social and the psychological influence? How do they come to be influenced? Because many years ago, you could trust your kids with the teachers.
Wow.
And you could do that. I mean, sometimes the kids don't even listen to you. You get the teachers to work with them. But that is when you have a teacher who starts with you in class 1, then he takes you to class 2, class 3. And throughout your entire life, the teacher will refuse anything from the family unless maybe it's Christmas. Because this time we don't give anything, we receive.
But they want it before they even go ahead to do anything.
Now it's Lalambia. Now it's about the money. So the motive is already corrupted. We have teachers now who pass your child because you are paying them for extra classes. They'll pass your child all the way. And I like teachers. Look, none of us will be here without a teacher.
That's
and
true.
I celebrate them. But I'm telling you the reality. So they will teach them and let your child pass. And my friend, the owner of Rising Sun, it's been a long while, Mr. Chapo, Richard Chapo, he showed me this trick. He said, look, they'll pass your child, sir, and do the connection with the next teacher to also take over. So and they'll be passing your child until the SHS exam comes.
And then you realize
because they're getting money, they'll the devil has entered my home. No. So I'm not saying the teachers can do a lot. If you find a very good teacher, don't let them go. Hang on to them, hold them well. So that is important, but majority is the parental thing. And then monitoring. Monitoring. There's a subject I would like us to talk about something for next week, but that will be for the 4th week.
Okay.
I always look at principles and structures for church, society. Maybe if we can do that into next week. But the following week, I want to talk about sex. Sex. Not next week. The following one. Yeah, we'll do sex. You know what I'm talking about?
Sex as a biological concept or sex as...
No, that's sexual. That's what you're talking about. Biological concept is the sexual element. I'm talking about sex, the act. Right. The act, not the art, but the act itself.
Okay.
And I'm looking at between a born baby, and I'm doing even as far as to 12 or 13. I'm not talking about the grown-ups, because that is for me the mega of this issue.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Reverend, there's one here. Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm watching from Spintex. Would you advise the presence of nannies in the early stages of the child's upbringing?
Nanny is relative. What does she mean in this context by nanny? Is it a relative who is a nanny? Is it somebody you've hired in to come and look after the child? A babysitter? Is that the nanny?
Yes,
what is that what they're talking about?
Yes, a babysitter.
Well, it's relative. The background, who is she? Where is she coming from? What do you know about her? That's what I'm talking about for the sex thing, right? Yeah, okay. It covers these ones as well.
Okay.
But sometimes an outside nanny is far better than a family predator. So that's very important.
Time is fast, but just on the family predator. What do you mean by a family predator?
Okay, so just a tidbit, right? Because I really want that to be a major, because I'm very, very biased about especially about the young girls, the baby girls. Yeah, people. There's no better way, because I'm talking about children here that to use and to say silly parenting, very, very silly parenting. Parents can be so silly that they erode every trust because that's a relative, and they leave, kids in their care. What I would be okay with if they don't even feed the kids, no problem. Let them starve from 8 to 2 o'clock for the parents to come home. At least in hunger they won't die. In hunger the kids will eat their food. Just give them water, eat their food, drink their milk. That is fine. Because when mom and dad comes home, it will be patched up. But the touches, those intimate touches, and I am of the view that instead of a lady putting a secret camera or recorder in the husband's car because of a hyper jealousy, to be able to know who the husband has been talking to, buy the camera, buy that audio device, but place it somewhere in your house to know what happens with your children.
Wow. Let's not give all the food just now, because I get a sense of where this is
headed. I've not even started warming up on that one. That's
oh my God,
and I'm doing that in 2 weeks. It's serious. It's serious because people's sexual lifestyles sometimes will not get to be defined by the parent who is giving them the best, or the guy who is giving them the best, who spends more time with them, but the person who comes in to cover that 20-minute gap.
True. Which can be a very long time.
20 minutes is a long time if they are treating a child.
Yeah.
It's a very long time.
Wow. Yeah.
But I wanted to look at, the principles of what we talked about it, I think the producer. The next we look at the structures, the principles, the disciplines. Is the Bible applicable today? The things that our parents taught about, when we're growing up, they said Tuesday's iron show. And then we realized that, no, it was not that they still carry away, but they have a day to save. Yeah. Just give them free some. So those things, we have to look at them, the health issues and all that.
Wow.
We'll play with those.
Reverend Cephas Haywood Amartey, thank you so much. When you come on the show, I'm so happy because not only do you give us so much insights, but also a blobby. We are connecting in deeper realms. Wow, so grateful for your time. And yes. I've had so much fun hearing Reverend speak on these issues, because I am so convicted that we need to have these conversations. Somewhere must be had at the national level. So thank you so much for your time. We are so grateful. Sir. Next week we'll delve into some of the areas you've brought up already in this discussion. We'll take a quick break now. When we are back, we focus the conversation into a health aspect, right, where we look at diabetes, right, the risk factors, all you need to know about it on Sunday Breakfast. Keep your dial right here on Channel One TV.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that? Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel One Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel One TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel One TV. You understand?
This is Channel One TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
This is Sunday Breakfast. Welcome. Just gone by a conversation with Reverend Cephas Haywood Amate on parenting and the need for responsible and right parenting. He makes an interesting point, really. He says that self-esteem over self-control rather over self-esteem, and calls on parents to make sure their children listen, right? He says, you know, just listen. If you're not even saying anything, just listen. Now we shift conversations, we'll focus on health, a very important conversation. You know, early on, Eno told us that we were in the month of diabetes awareness, right? So now we are going to have a full-blown conversation, and our co-host for the health segment, you know, at this point, our co-host. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
Reverend.
Hey.
She just added your title. you know, pardon me, Dr. Kalsum Zakaria Adam is our co-host for this segment. Diabetes. You know, I was telling Edo early on when we were about
Talking about
starting
the
the
month.
show, you know, that every time diabetes comes up, the next thing you hear is like sugar, like that check you know, sometimes you're just drinking your Coke, you've not even drank it in a long time, or like some fizzy drink somewhere.
Why
There's
you?
like, hey, will diabetes make us through? Like, but meanwhile, it's just one, you know, in a very long time. So, yeah, maybe you should just start off on that note. Like, what's the correlation between sugar and diabetes?
Okay. But before she answers, let's put the WhatsApp number
Very
out
important,
there.
yeah.
0204-447-033, 0204-447-033. Send in your messages, send in your questions, and we will ask them for you. Alternatively, you can go on our social media platforms, hashtag Sunday Breakfast across all Channel 1 social media platforms, or my handle, Inu_S, or Jude's at Mensa Duncan. Dr. Adams.
All right. So maybe to simply put it, our body, sugar is the fuel of our body. Okay, so if you break down the body has building blocks, and the building blocks are from your cells, and then your cells now become your tissues when they come together, and then these tissues, a group of tissues, will become an organ, and then the organ would then become organ system, and then you have the human being when you put several organ systems together. Now, sugar is something that the body or the cells use. So how the cells use these sugar to be able to produce energy for our daily maintenance. So our daily, we call it metabolism. Okay, so the cells take the sugar and then they use the sugar to maintain something we call homeostasis, such that you are kept alive, energy is produced, the cells are maintained, and all of that. But when you take in food, it needs to go through digestion, and then it is broken down to the smallest substance or the smallest unit, which is the sugar, depending on what type of food you're taking. Now, this sugar, once it is within the blood, it needs to, how do the cells get it? So the cells get it by, it's a hormonal system where insulin, there's insulin production that happens within the pancreas. There's an organ within us, in our abdomen, that's called the pancreas.
I remember my digestive system. So,
it looks,
And I do remember your digestive system.
So that insulin, anytime there's sugar within the bloodstream, insulin is produced. So insulin helps shift the sugars from the blood into the cells, so that now, once it's intracellular, these cells can then use it to do whatever, the metabolism, to maintain us, you get it. But you have diabetes when there are issues with the insulin production, either the secretion or the action. So simply put, to define diabetes, it's a group of metabolic diseases, which is characterized by two things. So the two things are hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia means that when you have sugar levels, when I check your sugar levels within your blood very high. So it's characterized by the hyperglycemia and also a defect, a defect in either the secretion of the hormone insulin or the action of the hormone insulin, or a combination of the two. And usually it affects multiple organs, and then it also involves multiple substances. And the substances, we can have glucose, we can have protein, fats, fluid and electrolytes. Okay, these are all substances that help us in our body. So fluid and electrolytes, your water regulation, and then oxygen delivery and oxygen uptake. So all of these things become deranged when you have what we call diabetes.
Wow.
So it's a group of, when you take it from the definition that I have given, metabolic disorder or metabolic disease characterized by the hyperglycemia and the defect in the insulin secretion, okay, or the insulin action or both. So this will bring us to the common types of diabetes. So I just want to touch on it. We have the type 1 and then type 2.
Yeah.
So the type 1 is usually has to do with an autoimmune cause. So autoimmune is cell fighting self. So the cells within the pancreas, the beta cells that produce the insulin, are being attacked by your own immune system such that it destroys it. So if it destroys it, it means that you don't have the cells there to even produce the insulin for it to act. You get it? So usually for the type 1, it happens very early in life. So sometimes childhood, or sometimes even at your early adolescence or early adulthood. And then you have the type 2. So the type 2 is the commonest compared to the type 1. The type 2, there are several causes. It's either you have the organ pancreas itself, it becomes insensitive to the sugar levels such that it is sluggish in producing the insulin. That's one. Or it's likely that the pancreas is producing the insulin. But once the insulin comes, it is excreted out of the body very quickly such that it is not available at any point in time when it's supposed to be used. And then the other thing is that it's likely that the insulin is produced, but as soon as it comes out, there are other hormones within the system that inactivate it. So it's present, but then it can't act. You get it? So that is the type 2. And that's the symptoms are usually, it's gradual, and some lifestyle also, it has some lifestyle modifications too, or lifestyle changes that need to be done so that you don't progress to getting the type 2 diabetes. So these are the differences
so you
between
move
the
from
type
1 to type 2?
No, you don't move from. There are two different ones.
Two different ones.
Yes.
Okay.
So as I said, so type 1 is autoimmune.
Yeah.
Okay. So autoimmune, yourself is destroying self. So your pancreatic cells are there, but then there's something, maybe some genetic predisposition or something that you have been exposed to, maybe a viral infection that has triggered it, and then now your own immune cells are now destroying the beta cells that actually produce the insulin.
But the type 2 is the more common one.
Pregnant women?
No, that's gestational diabetes. That's another type of diabetes that also happens because of the hormones that they have at that point in time when they are pregnant. So
there are different types. It's a very broad.
Exactly.
But you're saying that the type 2 is more common.
More common, about 90%.
In our part of the world.
In fact, everywhere.
Everywhere. People often confuse the symptoms and the causes.
Yeah.
But let's just still stay on the broad opening remarks you've given us. So then there's a correlation between sugar and diabetes.
Yes.
Then you also get people now try to, when they see you with a lot of sugary stuff, then the next thing they want to talk about is, the possibility of suffering from erectile dysfunction. I have a guy, so I hear that a lot, right? So maybe I'm eating some chocolate somewhere, and it's like, hey, I don't know,
It has,
So is that also a correlation
with
right,
that? Okay,
with erectile dysfunction and diabetes?
Yes, definitely, because diabetes has a lot of, and as I mentioned from our definition, it affects multiple organs with multiple substances. And then the penis is one of it. You get it. So it has to do with the signs and symptoms that we will delve into, and then the pathophysiology of it.
Pathophysiology.
It's having an effect on the integrity of the blood vessels that tend to supply different organs in your body. So once the integrity of the blood vessels are affected, it will definitely have an effect on the overall performance of that particular system or that particular organ in question. So we can talk about signs and symptoms. What are some of the signs and symptoms?
Before you go into the signs and symptoms, I just wanted to find out whether between the type 1 and the type 2, is one severe more than the other?
Okay. So type 1 and type 2. So type 1, usually the onset is very rapid because of the distraction. So you will see all the signs and symptoms we are going to talk about, in that particular patient very rapidly.
Right.
As compared to type 2. Type 2 is gradual. As I said, is either the beta cells have become a little sluggish in knowing that, oh, there's sugar inside the bloodstream, and I need to produce the insulin so that the insulin can move into areas where it has to be utilized.
Right.
You get it? But it becomes sluggish such that there's starvation in the midst of many. In the sense that that's how I actually would describe diabetes, because you have the sugar within the bloodstream, but your cells are suffering.
Right.
Your cells are suffering from starvation, and the reason is that the hormone that needs to push the sugar from the bloodstream into the cell is either is not functioning well, there's a defect in its action, or in its secretion, or actually both of it.
Doc, it's interesting because back in school, we didn't do it to a very, elaborate level like you have.
Yeah.
But we're taught that sugar, or glucose as you call it,
Yeah.
was a source of energy for our cells and our tissues.
Yes.
Right? So how is it now the same thing that can predispose us to a very serious
Yes,
disease
you're
like
right.
that?
It's a source of energy. So as I said, once it is produced and it is within the bloodstream, so depending, maybe you took carbohydrates, it had to go through a whole lot to be digested to get to the simplest form, which is the glucose. So you have it within the bloodstream. But then you can't flood the bloodstream. So once it's within the blood, which is extracellular, you need a hormone, a signal that, okay, there's sugar available. So this sugar that's available, we need to push it into the cells where it can be utilized. So it will undergo glycolysis and all to produce the energy you are talking about. And then that energy now becomes productive. It's either you are using the energy to even, muscle action, or you are using the energy to help maintain the cells, to repair some cells, and all of that. You get it? So it is a source of energy. But then you need signals, you need hormones, and all of these are chemical reactions that do take place in the body. So once the sugar is within the bloodstream, it needs to go into the cells, where is either, even when it goes into the liver, the liver changes it into glycogen and is stored. You can have about 400 grams of glycogen stores there. So that in case the times that you are not eating and the body still needs energy, or it needs a source of energy, those 400 grams can be mobilized to those, either into the bloodstream so that it can be redistributed to those cells that need it. You get it? So it's a whole system, but once there is some dysregulation in the secretion or the action or both of it, then it becomes problematic.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then now it can lead to, once it is within the blood, it becomes problematic because it will cause destruction of the pipe. So the blood vessels, I would say they are like pipes that supply different organs.
Right.
But then they have different parts. So the innermost part is called the endothelium, or the endothelial cells. And when you have the sugar staying within your blood, it can combine with some proteins that are within your plasma. So the plasma is a liquid part of your blood. So it can lead to formation of these complexes that we call ages. So they are called, so these ages, what they do is that they just go and sit on basement membranes in different parts of organs, and then they cause different dysfunctions depending on where they are. But the typical signs and symptoms associated with diabetes are, 1, you can end up having what we call glycosuria, which will end up giving you polyuria. So glycosuria is, you see, because you have a lot of sugar inside your blood, and then your kidneys, what they do is that they filter all the waste products day in and day out. Okay. Now, there's a threshold. When that threshold it goes beyond that threshold because you don't have that hormone that would help you move the sugars into where they are supposed to be. It means that a lot of the sugar will now get into the kidneys. So once you get there and then it overwhelms the threshold of the kidney, it means that you now have sugar being filtered. Normally, you're not supposed to have sugar filtering through your kidneys and coming out of your urine. No. So when I say the glycosuria, it's just a big word saying that you have sugar in your urine. You get it. So that's basically it. So now you have sugar within your urine. And then this sugar, it will mean that it would suck your water, a lot of your fluid or your water out of you. So you become dehydrated. So when you say polyuria, it means that because there is sugar within the urine, and then it's sucking more of the fluid out of you. So poly is plenty. So plenty urine. You end up peeing a lot because there's something within your urine that has an osmotic pressure. That exerts some osmotic pressure to your urine. So then you tend to lose a lot of urine. So a lot of people will come and say, hey, I've been peeing a lot of late. You get it. And that is what we call polyuria.
Right.
So now this polyuria, and then you are actually pushing a lot of the fluids into the urine. It means that you become dehydrated.
Okay.
So if you become dehydrated, the body will quickly notice that this person is dehydrated and we need to do something about it. So then it will stimulate the brain center where now it will force you to drink a lot of water. So that is what we call polydipsia. So polydipsia is you want to, like a lot of, you have thirst. So it will signal the thirst center, and then now you tend to drink a lot of water. But unfortunately, whatever the problem is there, so you even drinking the water, it will still come out. You get it. So that is it. And then also because the cells, the sugar is just within the blood, it's not getting into the cells for them to do all that they are supposed to be doing. It means that the body again would see that why is it that we can't get the sugars that we need to produce the energies? So it's likely that this person is not eating well or is not eating much. So you end up with the other symptom that we have, polyphagia, which is to eat a lot. So they tend to eat a lot, even though they'll be losing a lot of weight.
Is it a reverse of bulimia?
Bulimia is basically you eating and then bringing it out.
But this is just eating more, but still losing weight.
But you see, when you are eating more, now it will go into the digestive system, it will be broken down, then it will be pushed again into the bloodstream. But it can't get, so that's where I'm saying that, starvation in the midst of meaning. You get it. So it still comes, and then you still have a lot of, so now it makes sense, the definition makes sense, because we said hyperglycemia, which is high blood glucose levels. So you're trying, the body is trying as much as possible, thinking that there's some dysfunction somewhere, but needs to be taken care of. So it would put you in situations where now you have polyuria, that is a lot of, you are peeing a lot. So patients will come to you, I've been peeing, I pee a lot of late. And then sometimes even I hear patients saying that maybe when they pee outside, they tend to see some ants around. Exactly, it's because of the sugar levels that are in there. You get it. And then you end up with you having to want to eat a lot, polyphagia, and then the polydipsia as well. So these are some of the 3 signs and symptoms that patient classically would present with diabetes.
In line of practice, do you get people come to you say, well, they are trying to get diabetes because they want to lose weight, right? Because there's a whole there's a whole like fixation on losing weight and how it's a struggle for a lot of people, right? So much that people now resort to all sorts of unconventional means.
No, but diabetes is not something you would want to have. There are so many ways that you can lose weight. I mean, the gastric bypasses here and there and all of that, they are recommended ways, but not diabetes. Diabetes is the last thing you would want to think about. You get it? So diabetes is a metabolic disorder, and it comes with so many complications that you don't want to be there.
Mix it at all.
Exactly.
What's with the swollen feet and diabetes? Because every now and then we get people say that when they see your feet in a certain way, then they are quick to associate it
getting.
with.
So it all boils down to you having some edema, we call it lymphedema, or having pedal edema. So edema has to do with still osmotic pressures. So when we have extracellular spaces and then we have intracellular spaces. Intracellular spaces are within the cell, and then extracellular space is anything outside the cell. Anything outside the cell could be that either within the pipes, your pipes, which are your blood vessels, or transcellular spaces. So when you have differences in oncotic pressures within these two spaces, such that when it goes through the capillary bed, you don't have enough oncotic pressure within the cells to, within the blood vessels or extracellular, to take out, to still take over the fluids that are passing through, then it stays more within the cells. So if it stays more within the cells, it means that anytime you press, you end up having some indentation, and that is the pedal edema. So it has to do with the oncotic pressures here and there.
You have any questions?
I wanted to know what FBS is.
Okay,
in terms of our glucose levels. Yeah.
Okay, so FBS is basically fasting blood sugar, and it's very important in diabetes and then investigating diabetes, because our fasting blood sugar. So when you sleep for about 8 hours, sometimes 6 hours, within that period, it's assumed that you have fasted. You have rested the body, and there wasn't any food entering within the system. So to be able to tell the exact state of your sugar levels, we recommend that your blood is taken and then is checked for the sugar levels first thing in the morning after that fasting period. So that is what we call the fasting blood sugar. And this fasting blood sugar, at least you should have about, the limit is 5.6 millimoles per liter. Okay, so if you do check it and then you have levels of about 5.7 to about, let's say 6.9, then this is impaired fasting glucose. So that's like pre-diabetes, like a warning sign to you. That's then if you do not modify your lifestyle, that's basically with the type 2, which is developed later in life. If you do not modify your lifestyle, the likelihood is that you may end up getting into the levels of diabetes, which is 7 millimoles per liter and above.
Any more questions?
What numbers are good?
So 5.6 and below.
5.6
and below.
Right.
Doc, I have a question here for you from a viewer. He wants to find out, my eyes get irritational, I feel a lot of fatigue, and my mood has been changing often a lot. I read somewhere that it could be a sign of diabetes. Myself, my sugar level, I checked it recently and it was slightly above normal. Could you find out from Doc what this could mean?
Okay, so if it's above normal.
The message is from Juliana. Yes,
okay.
Juliana.
So if it's above normal, I just gave the ranges. If it was fasting, there's sometimes that you may end up doing a random blood sugar, which is not, I mean, we don't recommend, but yeah, cases that maybe somebody comes in an emergency situation and you can't wait for a fasting, you have to do the random blood sugar. But if he checked it and then, or if she checked it and then it was above normal, was she in the pre-diabetic state, which I mentioned, which is the 5.7 to about 6.9. Was she really above the 7? Then that makes it diabetes. But even that, you can't use just fasting blood sugar. What we recommend is usually to do an HbA1c, which is glycated hemoglobin.
Okay.
So that helps you to get the exact control of your sugar within your system.
Wow.
Yes.
Doc,
so
this
that's,
message,
I would recommend that she does that. And then also, she mentioned she had irritations to the eye. So maybe on our next episode, we'll talk more about the complications.
Oh, but there's a correlation.
We'll talk more, not irritations to the eye, but there's something called diabetic retinopathy. So it has something to do with your eye.
Very complicated disease you are talking about.
Yes.
Incredible.
Multiple organs, you know,
Someone wants to know
mentioned.
if foamy urine is a sign of diabetes.
Foamy urine, not that I have seen. But what I have mentioned is once you have excessive urination, the volume is a lot. Yes, that's you can. And then also if you have the polyphagia, plus the polydipsia, plus you checking your sugar levels, maybe just the fasting, and then you've had the ranges that I have mentioned.
Does the color of the urine matter?
So obviously, if you have polyuria, your urine will look colorless. You get it?
Yeah.
Usually, urine color is supposed to be amber color. But then if you do have excessive water, a lot of water entering into it, it will dilute the color and you end up having something even close to.
Wow. Somebody also wants to find out, Nana or Kojidom Adofi. He says, I understand diabetes is hereditary. Who in the family is more susceptible to inherit the sickness?
Okay, so once it's hereditary, yes. If you have a first family line, let's say your mom or your dad, yes, the likelihood is that you may end up getting it. You stand a greater chance of inheriting some of these genes that can end up predisposing you to getting diabetes. So for the type 1, yes, it has a very strong genetic predisposition, which you need to screen for it and then make sure that you are doing all the lifestyle modifications to help you or actually reduce your risk of developing diabetes. And then also, if it is type 2 has a lot to do with lifestyle. It has a lot to do with lifestyle. So you need to make sure that you are keeping active, all the things that we spoke about, I think some weeks ago. You are keeping active, you are keeping your weight at not overweight or obese, at the obese levels, and then make sure that you are taking a lot of fruits and vegetables. All of these will reduce your risk of developing diabetes.
I feel like we've not even finished like the tip of this whole conversation.
There's so many questions coming in. This one, I have diabetes. My sugar level was 19.0, but now 6.5, and swelling foot. What should I do to bring down my swelling foot?
Okay.
Benjamin Owusu sent
So what I would want to find out from this patient is that since they said they were 19, which is very high, and then now 6, that's good. That's good. At least they are. Was it diagnosed in the hospital, and I'm sure he's being managed accordingly. So what he can do for the swollen foot is, he should try and then pass his finger on it and then see if it indents. Then it means that it is the pedal edema that we are talking about. But there should be something. Why is it? It's not only diabetes that can predispose you to that. Could be some kidney malfunction. So he should quickly go back to the hospital and then let us examine it thoroughly and then get to the root of it.
Wow. Thank you very much, Doc. It's been an interesting conversation. I hope
and a scary
the way
one.
you're smiling.
And a scary one. I'll be like,
the sugary and fizzy drinks that Drew consumes on a daily
I don't know what she's about in all of this,
but so let's take you to Ohiamadrin in the Shama district of the Western region, where Galamsey activities are affecting our farmlands.
The fact that this area happens to be the hub of rice farming over here in the Shama district, and I'm told that several of these farms you see over here are being affected by the activities of Galamsey. And today, we just want to find out the extent of the destruction or the impact of Galamsey activities over here on the many farms you see within the catchment of the Ohiamadrin area. This is Wind River, one of the irrigated river bodies we have within the Ohiamadrin community. And it was actually constructed to actually provide adequate water, or should I say fresh water, for the irrigation of rice farms within this area. But unfortunately, this very irrigated river seemed to have also been impacted by the activities of Galamsey, and the farmers have issues with using this very polluted river for their farms. And today, I just want to talk to one of them to find out the issues they have with the state of the river and its impact on their farming activities over here.
2010. Na tamis na breso. No, irrigated farm. Inland valley irrigation for no mobile. Yen dam man. Ntoma ye fonu so kakraka daha. Be 150 acres. No more yakam. a ye pharmacy ye ho adwuma ntoma ye we a ye nya nsuo na nsuo no ye fine and it fine ti etumi ye no 2 times in a year etumi bua ye nya bi hwe ye moframa na ade efi sisia galamsey fo no o ma say nsuo no nti ye ba fu ma ye nya nsuo no so ye de ma no ba no so ya mmu na ye rice farmers a ye mmu ye de ma mmu no so a mmu no benya yare na obi di so a obewu nti nsuo no wa yen kroso nsuo no ma family bi ye fu no nti ye twa na suro nsu se nsu no to a na ye de yam no ye ya no krope wa afi krom na nsu anto so a na mu no nyina ase na ye boka nti yesa ne ye pese ye se ye sra ban umbrem na uma gamsey fu no mo ye no ye edwuma wo nsuem a nsu na ya poto no omo ma mo nja edwuma sa edwuma ne ye na ye so efu ye so no ye Shama district no ye hia organization center a omo de combine tractors power tillers ebe brain a ye tumi ye edwuma na fefe sisi a ye mu na ye kra no ye fe free a ye combine fi water region transport na ye de ba no bia omo gi 10,000 e transport no anse no ma ba twa ya mo e bi o ye kwa so tware anse no ya kofa combine ye se ye mu abrebre ye nya combine bia ma ne ntwa mo nti ye tutu sraban
problem ye hia ne sesi ade yan fa sesi a wiaro bo o de ye water enuama no emu na o de ye se wosu fifie ye fa drums abobo ya watchu nsu ebi wa kia na load container bebre ahoma achi na egbu nsu ni hina nti egbu nsu ni hina ma drum no ya ma driver ne be charge ansa na wona wolbo abesesa we spray nsu no nso wa agiska nti damade hina ka ona meche de e ka bebre na sisi an farmers no yerinya ebe ya hebe ma nsu taa o nsu yentumi ensa wonsu aye de nsu ni ho wa ye bibia kama o de anka ye ya na ye boy nsu ma onam obia na hebe no onam de nsu no onye ma ye use ndie mu nti o de esa nsu e wo fe bi o ka tum baba e 3 na 3 ye boni sika kwa ye sika kakraba e bi o 1,002 a day nti said 1 week na water enye ka kakraba nti am message abanim brem no omboboy na galanse sam no so wona wo ye galanse mo so ho no ye hu ahon ko no nti hina na chida aba na wotu nkofo mo wa akoso ho wa akohwe wona wo ye damade no so wo de wesu na no kwan a wesu ma ye adwuma no otum ye yi sisale emu ye 2 times nde ye no one na apoya me aye wa adoma obese.
This is a 150-acre rice farm here in the Ohiamadwin area of the Shama district of the Western region, where it is employing about 45 farmers into this rice farm. And the concern, as expressed over there, is the fact that because of the pollution, they've actually stopped using the polluted irrigated water that should have actually come through this very irrigated portion. And as you can see, it is very much dry because they are not allowing the irrigated water to come here for fear of pollution of the rice over here. And as a result, they are struggling in getting water for this very farm. It is because of this that the Ghana Association of Peasant Farmers is actually calling on the government to immediately find a solution to this concern that the rice farmers have here in the Ohiamadwin area of the Shama district.
This has impacted the production of rice in the Shama district, and the Shama district also contributes to the national production of rice. So if it's affecting the rice production here, it means nationally the rice production in the country is being affected, and this will even lead to more imports. The last time we're looking at the rice import bill in Ghana, it was quite pathetic, and I know it is government policy for Ghana to become self-sufficient in rice production in the next few years. And if we are supposed to do that, we cannot become self-sufficient in rice production by depending on rain-fed agriculture. So government should quickly, as a matter of agency, take the steps to stop galamsey activities on the water bodies. Government should also, as a matter of agency, invest in infrastructure, particularly in machinery, combined harvesters, and other implements that the farmers need to be able to expand, because there are many more areas that can be brought under cultivation. But if government doesn't invest in those areas, it's very difficult for us. And we are even concerned about the jobs. We need to create jobs for the people around.
This is the main mailing point here in the Ohiamadwin community here in the Shama district. And over here, most of the rice that is actually farmed within the catchment of this community finds its way here for milling. And as you can see, these are some of the rice that have actually come from the farm in bags. And over here, we have the operators of the mill actually investing in this very machine. And it is from this that they also make their money. And whatever that happens in terms of, the farming business also impact on them. And with whatever the concerns that the farmers have, we also want to find out from the millers over here whether it is in any way impacting on their business.
But any issue, but it's no mono, unbelievable. I'm a machine is to fire crack. The baby has to John Momoa. Answer to me as more moment the bear more. Saying to me, when John Moa farm by answering to me, so the machine to why you take crap.
For the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana and rice farmers within the Ohiamajin area of the Shama district, any further delay by government in intervening in the continuous pollution of this very irrigation project by Galamsey activities will mean a collapse of the rice farming industry here in the Shama district. For Channel 1 TV News, I'm Akwesi Jenim, Ohiamajin.
So there you heard it from our colleague in the Western region, Akwesi Jenim, from the Ohiamajin community in the Western region, where essentially Galamsey activities is fast affecting rice production in the area. It's a more troubling situation for us because in 2022, the country exported rice worth about $318 million. Right, $318 million. And you ask yourself what we could have used this money for, right, if we had a functioning or a proper rice production in the country. And it's people talk about the capacity of local farmers, the technical know-how and all of that, right? But the point is that even the few ones that are around who are trying to help the situation, we are not helping them, right? Because of some of these instances of Galamsey that's happening. And can you guess where the countries we import the most rice from?
Vietnam.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. There's a very common one.
There's a very common one.
Yeah.
And those are the only two I can think of.
Well, there's Thailand. So there's
Thailand.
Vietnam, which you mentioned correctly, where we import $230 million worth of rice, dollars worth of rice from. Second is India, $30.8 million. There's Thailand, the whole Thailand rice. So there's $24.7 million. There's China, like you rightly mentioned, $11.2 million. And guess the fifth country where you import the most from? Cote d'Ivoire, next door neighbor.
Next door.
Right? So it doesn't make for pleasant here.
But let's go over the line and speak to
Mr. Roland Pra, who is
Mr. Jesse Roland Pra. He's the CEO of Roland Rice, and his farm has been deeply affected. Thank you so much for your patience and for joining us on Sunday Breakfast.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to our cherished viewers. My name is Jesse Roland Pra, as you mentioned earlier, the CEO of Roland Rice.
Wow. So, Mr. Pra, I don't even know where to start from. Tell us, how affected is your farm? How much of Galamsey activities has affected your farm?
Okay, so you could see that with rice production, we use a lot of water. So we depend on the river bodies along the farms. So the activities of Galamsey is being done upstream, and which has really changed the color of the river bodies. I remember years ago, when you stand on the embankment or the dam or our reservoir, you could even see the fishes in the water. But nowadays, you can't even see any living creature within. So it means that even all the creatures in our rivers, they are dying off, or they are not willing to even stay in the river anymore. So this is the same river that we use on our farms. We use it to till the land because we do the transplanting. So you need to bring in a lot of water to till the land, to make the land very soft, to be able to transplant. Now, this river has been polluted So it contains a lot of mercury, heavy metals, which is not good for rice production. Rice itself is a crop that needs clean and needs water. Aside that, we also use insecticides and even the weedicides. All these chemicals, you need to mix it with clean water before it could work well. But since the water has been polluted, the color itself is like clay or mud. It's very difficult for these chemicals to bond well with the water that we use in spraying our crops. So this really affecting us. And whenever we use this kind of water into the farms, it reduces the fertility rate of the soil. So of which, if an acre of rice, we are supposed to get about 20 bags, we are now getting maybe 15 or 10 bags. So it's reducing. It's really affecting our yield.
Wow.
Right. So what alternative have you resorted to in terms of irrigation?
Okay, so currently we are depending on rainfall. So we did this project such a way that we could plant 2 times or 3 times within a year because of the river bodies around. But now that the water has been polluted, we are afraid to use them. So we are depending on nature. We have the major rainy season and the minor rainy season. But there are times all these seasons fail us because of climate change. So as a farmer, we don't even know when to start planting and when to even start harvesting because there has been a change. There has been a change in climate. So we've always been depending on rain-fed to irrigate our farms. When Akwesi visited the field, you could see that the canals were dry because we are afraid to use the river because we don't know the kind of chemicals within that can destroy our rice. So we are always depending on rainfall.
Wow. Tell us how much of your production has dwindled since the Galamsey activities became more pronounced in the area. Prior to this, how much rice were you producing? And how much are you producing now that you don't have enough water to do irrigation on your farm?
Okay, so in the Shama district, we are cultivating on about 500 acres of land. This year currently, rice production has really gone down because we could see that there is demand and we are not able to supply because we are not getting the rice. Because all these activities has been in the result that farmers are afraid to use the water or they will not even get water on their farms. So in that case, they are not going to farm. So most of the outgrowers that we have in Shama district are unwilling to farm this year because when they go in for loans, they are not able to pay their loans, all because of water issues. And when you are able to get some of this water, there is high demand for it. So most farmers are fighting over the little water that comes in. So in order to avoid fighting, some of the farmers have resorted to stop farming or stop rice production. And either they will do other crops like plant maybe maize or potatoes. But these farms were their main purpose was for rice production because rice needs a lot of water. So if he is not getting the water, then why don't I plant maybe something that doesn't need a lot of water, like maybe maize or tomato or pepper or even potatoes, as I said earlier. So these are now farmers that are into rice production are moving to different crops, of which it will reduce the amount of tonnage that we need to process in the Shama district. We are not getting them. It's really affecting the business.
Is the Ministry of Agriculture aware of your plight with regards to the decline in production of rice in the area, and what have they been saying to you if you've mentioned to them?
Okay, so this is a social concern. In every project, there is an extension officer that goes around to check on the farms and the farmers as well. But in this case, they're always available. They always come around. We complain to them that our water bodies are not good. We need to do something about it. Even if they can drill some boreholes or get us a bigger reservoir, of which we can reserve some of the rainwater that falls into a big reservoir. Then we keep on using it till it gets finished. We've sent all these flights. The minister has visited the farms. They come around, they talk to us, they go to Accra, and they forget about us. So these are the issues we are facing in Shama district. Whenever we send complaints, they go, they listen, but they don't come back to work on it. So we are even fed up. We decided not to even complain to anybody, but we will keep doing our own work small.
Wow, this is really shocking. At what point do you see that the whole rice production in the area can't come to a complete halt? Because if I listen to you correctly, you mentioned that some farmers have already now abandoned the whole idea of going into rice farming, right? So for the remaining rice farmers, at what point really does this all come to an end if there's no solution in sight?
Okay, so when there's no solution to this, what will happen is the market value of local rice will go down. So people will not depend on local rice anymore because they are afraid that whatever we produce, there are chemicals in it. So it means that whenever you send local rice into the market, people will not buy. They will rather depend on the foreign rice, of which is something that we want to also eliminate. We want to stop the import of foreign rice so that we all depend on local rice. But if we are not doing it well, and they get to know that there are a lot of chemicals, there are a lot of problems within, then it means there's no market value for it. Then our work is coming to an halt.
All right. Wow. It's very unfortunate, but thank you for speaking to us.
You know, I wanted to just get a final, what will be your final plea to the authorities who are listening right now? I know you mentioned that you reached out to them, they've come to see the farms, but they are not doing anything. They get to Accra and it's case closed. But what will be that final rally call to the authorities who are listening, duty bearers, right? The president, his ministers, the extension officers, and everybody involved in decision making on this topic. What will be your final plea or call to them?
Okay, what I would like to conclude is with the authorities in Ghana, I will urge them to make sure there is a survey done on our river bodies, especially the ones which we use in agriculture, we use for production. They should be going around all the river banks to check that if there's any galamsey activities, it should be altered, and it should be soon. It should be now. We should stop talking and move into action. You see, apart from this water being polluted, now when farmers are coming to farm, they buy sachet water to the farms, of which they also, after drinking it, they leave it on the field, which is also affecting the soil. So it seems the galamsey activity itself is causing a lot of problems, a whole lot of problems, because the farmer initially wasn't buying water, but now they buy water and bring it to the field to drink. So this another pollution that we are polluting the soil itself. And the water that we are using for the farm is also polluting the soil. So it's a kind of double pollution that we are adding to the soil.
Interesting.
So I'll plead that the government to take a quick intervention to stop the galamsey activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally. But by the way, we are told that some military officers, right, have been deployed to some of these galamsey sites to stop the activities of illegal miners. In the area where you are, have there been instances where you've seen military officers clamping down on galamsey activities in the western region?
Okay, so I didn't see it personally, but I heard of it that there are some military people that have been deployed to stop the activities of galamsey gangs. But some of these activities might not be close to where we are. They are far off, of which we don't even see them, because they do it upstream and we are downstream.
Okay.
So even if there's any military intervention upstream, we don't know. We will get to know only when the water the color changes to be pure, that's the only time you get to know that now they've stopped every activity. But since the color hasn't changed, then it means no work has been done.
Wow.
Jesse, thank you so much for speaking to us. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that authorities hear your cry and your plea and do something about it. Jesse Rowland Pratt is CEO of Roland Rice, but our colleague Akwasi Anim, who brought us that story, is also joining us live via Zoom. Akwasi, many thanks for joining us this Sunday morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very well. I think let me put Jude's question across to you. So we know military operations were deployed to stop Galamsey activities in the Western region. Where you visited, did you happen to see them, or have you heard that they've reached the Western region and are fighting the Galamsey menace?
I think the answer to that question was well captured by the gentleman we just spoke to, Mr. Pratt. They haven't seen them. Myself, I haven't seen them on any of our major river bodies. That is Pra and Cobra. And if they are actually working, I mean, the resulting effect will be a reduction in the state of pollution of our water bodies. That for me will actually confirm that they are working. We don't see them, and the impacts of whatever that they're supposed to be doing is also not being felt by the people who have to feel the impacts of their activities. We are likely to have two major streams over here, and the river police or river guards that they said they were going to deploy, if they have actually deployed them, at least we'll see them on either River Pra or River Cobra. And I can say for a fact that I have not seen them or heard that they are actually on the river. And so this is the situation we find ourselves, in. At the end of the day, the problem we should be anticipating is the livelihoods that are going to be affected. There are a lot of people or farmers within the catchment of the Shama district who are actually into this rice farming, and with what is happening, they are either going to move away from the farming of rice to other crops, and we know as a country we import so much when it comes to rice, and that will also mean an impact on our city, because we need extra dollars to be able to import this. And so livelihoods have been affected by this pollution, because now the farmers are spending a lot of money in just transporting fresh water from town to this farmlands before they can water their farms. And the sad thing is that this irrigated project was actually financed by government in around 2009, 2010, and this was a project that was meant to actually provide the needed water, fresh water for their farms. And today it is sitting there with a lot of water in the river, but because of the state of the pollution, the farmers cannot even use it. And it tells you how we are wasting money doing projects that do not actually get to solve the problem we intended to solve.
Akwasi, we understand from various reports that the Western region is known as the Galamsey capital in Accra. In line of your reports, right, we've also heard stories about how community members in Jema are also resisting activities of Galamsey. Can you just create a picture of how the state of illegal and irresponsible mining is in the Western region for us, and whether or not it's indeed the capital of Galamsey activities in the country? Okay, so I think we lost our correspondent in the Western region, but it's a really serious.
Okay, he's back.
Hello, Akwasi, are you back? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes. So I was asking you about reports on whether indeed it's the case that the Western region is the capital of Galamsey activities in the country.
Oh, he's frozen.
Wow.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
So if your question is in respect to...
Yeah. So, yeah, I know. I mean, we lost Akwesi name, we'll try and put him on again. But the point really is that City FM, I quite recall, and Channel One TV started this whole Eat Local Rice, right? Made in Ghana rice. It was a big campaign because at the time we felt strongly that the amount of money that we commit to importing rice into the country really at that time makes no sense, because it's never been an issue of capacity. It was an issue of capacity because you hadn't supported local farmers enough to be able to produce and farm rice in Ghana, right? So it was really disappointing, and it caught on. And what we realized was that the rice that are produced there, some of the brands here are of the highest quality, and there was a need to support rice farmers. So if now we have to come back and report about how our own activities are crippling local farmers, then I think that we are doing ourselves a great disservice, and it makes no sense importing $10 million worth of rice from Ivory Coast, who are just our next door neighbors. And you know,
so what are they doing rice that we can't implement
shocking.
in our very own
and the
country?
most disappointing bit of this conversation is that this is a country who, as far back as 2007, were plunged in a civil war, right? So how are they all of a sudden now doing better than us Ghanaians, who we've had relatively stable democracy 30 years uninterrupted? So I think that we need to continue this conversation. It's quite disappointing, if you ask me, in my opinion. And you know, the Western region and Galamsey, oh my God, I don't even think it's a conversation we can exhaust today. But we must also make the point that there are certain communities who are standing up against this. A lot of the times when conversations around Galamsey come up, make it look like even the community members themselves endorse it or support it, which is not entirely the case, right? They say, oh, it booms the economy, it brings money into the area. But we know from research, right, that communities that do Galamsey, after the mines are gone and the pits are left open, are poorer for it, because what they do is that they clear large farmlands to do this mining, and they don't even reclaim the land, right? And all of that. So we've spoken a lot about Galamsey, and I don't intend to use this show to go on again. But the point is that we need to all continue the fight. We need to all speak against irresponsible and illegal mining that is ravaging our lands and now coming after our lives. So we'll take a quick break. When we are back, we'll delve into our food and nutrition segment. We have an interesting conversation. So keep your dial right here on Channel One TV. This is Sunday Breakfast.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel One Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel One TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. They have to catch up. City TV is now Channel 1 TV, you understand?
This is Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel 1 Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel 1 TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel 1 TV, you understand?
This
You're welcome back. Now, in line with Diabetes Awareness Month, you know, we had a conversation about diabetes and the types and some of the symptoms, not all, because apparently there are more symptoms to be discussed next week. So we're moving into the nutrition segment, and still in line with diabetes, we're going to be talking about nutrition and diabetes management. And to help us do this is Hillary Clinton. She's a dietitian with Enna Dinsua Consult, and she's going to help us talk about type 1 diabetes and how to use nutrition to manage it. Thank you for joining us, Hillary. How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very well. So your first time here with us on Sunday Breakfast.
Yes.
But your name is interesting, though.
Extremely.
I just had to touch on it. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
You're a strong woman.
You get that a lot.
Every single time, everywhere I go.
Everywhere you go, you must be tired of hearing it. Wow, interesting.
All right, Hillary, let's talk about, this is a big word, but simply type 1. So we've talked about risk factors and the complications already. So let's just talk about nutritional goals for managing diabetes.
So we are going to start from the top.
Okay.
Okay. We want everyone to understand what diabetes is. Type 1 usually affects children or in the early days. Okay. We all need fuel in our cars to move, right? Everything we eat at the end of the day turns into sugar. So your rice is turning into sugar, your yam is turning into sugar, your proteins, everything turns into sugar. You don't necessarily have to eat sugar to get sugar in the blood. Now, after eating your rice, your yam, it turns into sugar and it's in your blood. You need something called insulin to move it from the blood to the body cells. Just like the cars need the fuel, the body needs this energy or this sugar to move. Your brain working is because of this sugar. You walking around is because of this sugar. So there is something called insulin that moves the sugar from the blood to the body cells. But then in type 1, there's this autoimmune systemic thing going on that hinders the insulin from working. So it's not as if the person has done anything for this to happen, but then the body is fighting against its own self and causing insulin resistance. So now the insulin is not able to work as much as supposed to. Okay, so our main goal for nutrition with managing diabetes is making sure we halt the complications, no further complications with the vision loss and all that. We try to halt that with using unprocessed meals and all that. So main goal, halt complications, control the blood sugars, and if there is any weight gain related to that, we can work around that too.
So what kind of foods should I be looking at
for managing diabetes? So we'll go for whole unprocessed foods. So your whole grains, your lean cut of protein, okay? So not just any kind of protein, yes. So when you take a piece of meat, there shouldn't be any visible fat on it.
Okay.
No processed proteins. So your sausages, your ham, your bacon, they are all out. Your fats are supposed to be very healthy as well. So avocado, olive oil. Usually you hear people saying there's good oil and there's bad oil. Some oils have cholesterol, but then there is some tricks to it. You have to be very specific. Healthy fats, that is our goal, using those ones.
When you say there's some tricks to it, what exactly do you mean?
There are some companies that will tell you their oil is cholesterol free, but then there is good cholesterol and there is bad cholesterol. The body actually needs both. Okay, and the good one is mainly in the plant sources. So your vegetable oils, they are quite good. But then the oils from the animal sources, like the Strider you were talking about, those ones are where the cholesterol comes from. The bad cholesterol, that is where it comes from. Do you get it? Good. So we'll stick to the plant sources, the ones that are cold pressed, not over processed. Some oils have to go through a very long heating process before we can make them. So those ones are not so healthy for us anymore.
Right. And you were talking about wholesome grains. What kind of grains should we be looking at?
When I walked in, I heard you guys talking about rice.
Yes.
We all like basmati, perfumed rice, but then we'd go for the complex carbohydrates. So unprocessed, we are not going to polish the rice. So your normal rice just after harvesting without it being polished, it has a coating around it, a brown coating. So brown rice, a healthier option to the polished rice.
As nice.
But then that is what will help us. So we have to go according to that.
And I always say, don't focus on the taste. Focus on the benefits that it's giving your body.
Taste is acquired.
Yes. Yes. But it's difficult to adjust
after
your
some
taste
time.
to
After
brown
some
rice.
time, you get used to it.
So aside the rice, what else?
You can go for wheat, even corn. Some people find a way to sieve it when they are processing it. So we can keep all the fiber in there. So fiber is the main thing we are talking about with the whole unprocessed cereals and grains. So we keep the fiber in there, we are good to go.
Okay, so you've spoken about foods that we can eat. What about those we have to completely avoid if we have diabetes?
We've spoken about one already.
Yes, the fats.
So your proteins with the visible fat on it, deep fried stuff. Okay, it has a lot of oils. Oil has the most calories, and calories is directly proportional to your energy or the sugar in the blood at the end of the day. So more fats, more calories, more sugar in the blood. So anything that is deep fried, we are taking it out. I always say anything you can steam, grill, boil, you are not going to fry. So if you can boil your eggs, you are not frying it. If you can boil your plantain, your yam, I'm not going to be eating fried yam anymore.
The kelewele, kelewele, when you boil it, the plantain you boil it, it's not the same, The kelewele has to, it's some small spices, so, Hilary, some way.
I spoke about when oil goes through a lot of heating process, it gets damaged. The kelewele they are making, that oil has been used like 100 times already.
Me in my house, I use it once.
You doing it yourself?
Okay, we can shallow fry or you can air fry. Okay. Make sure you're using just a little oil. You don't want to leave residue because we can't reuse that oil and you don't want to throw the oil away.
So the problem then is the deep frying.
Yes.
So the deep frying machines, we should throw them somewhere.
Throw them somewhere.
Hey,
it's someone's money, someone's hard-earned money, someone's company. So they would like it in the market.
What's the role of exercise in all of this, right? I ask because people go to the gym and they have the notion that I can eat whatever I want to eat because I'll burn it all out in the gym later. is there a correlation? And is that really the case where, well, you can, like you mentioned, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. So let me eat the pork, no, let me relax and eat it proper, and later burn it all out in the gym. Is that really the case?
That is, at the end of the day, you've done nothing. Because everything you've worked out for, you've taken it back in. Okay, so if you want to add physical activity, which you should make sure that you are making progress by not going back to your old habits. So say you need 2,000 calories in a day, you are burning say 500 in the gym. Why should you take 2,500 at the end of the day? That is like, you shouldn't have even worked out because there is no use. So if you are doing something, you do it the right way. You burn the 500 and you let the body work on the rest. So physical activity is needed, but then it should go in line with a healthy diet. Okay.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand. They work together.
You know, then my next question to you would be the role of nutrient supplements, all these protein supplements and all of that, still in relation to conversations around diabetes, because, you know, people say, well, I don't eat this, I don't eat this, I don't eat that. But at the end of the day, they have all of these different products they get from these shelves, from these big malls, that are like protein supplements, are all sorts of things, right? What is that professional advice on the use of some of these products?
So with supplementation is a second option. You're supposed to get all the nutrients you need from your intake, from your food. So be it proteins, the minerals, the vitamins, you're supposed to get it from your intake. When that is not feasible, that is when we lean on the supplementation. But then the supplements the bodybuilders use is actually different from the supplements used in the hospital. So even with the whey proteins they use, they are different. There is, in the hospital we use a hydrolyzed version of it, which is different from what the bodybuilders use. So it depends on what you are doing. You just need a professional to guide you. So supplementation is not so bad. It depends. If you are not getting it from your intake, you can lean on that, but then the right way.
So it shouldn't be your go-to option.
No,
it's always an alternative.
Yes, your second option, not the main option.
And even that, it should be on the advice of a professional,
exactly,
like a registered dietitian.
Yes, please.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk us through protein and carbohydrates in managing, you know, my diabetes. What should I be doing and what should I not be doing?
I usually don't restrict people when it comes to diabetes. I say you can take anything. It depends on the quality of what you are taking, the quantity, and the time. People usually eat at any time thinking the body doesn't really know anything about time and the body doesn't know it's 2 a.m. But then the hormones work at specific times, so we have to go according to that. Okay, so your breakfast is supposed to be at a specific time. The body has a memory. It has to be within a range every single day. You don't skip your breakfast. Your lunch at specific times, your dinner at specific times. Your proteins are as important as your carbohydrates. It will take almost the same quantity of your meal. So if you are taking 2 ladles of rice, your protein should be around that quantity. So you're supposed to have a lot of protein on your food actually. And your carbohydrates, you can have anything like I said. It's the quality of it. You are prioritizing fiber. You are cutting down all the refined carbohydrates. So your fizzy drinks, all those things, your sugary snacks, you are cutting them off. So your complex carbohydrates with a lot of fiber in it and your proteins, lean cuts, you are good.
The healthy fats you were talking about, how do they help me manage my diabetes?
They help with, so there's something called the metabolic syndrome. It comprises diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and obesity. Once you have 1 or 2 in, the rest automatically starts picking up. So when we tell you maybe your cholesterol is high or maybe your blood pressure is high, if care is not taken, you realize your sugars start going high, you start putting on weight and all that. They work hand in hand. So the good fats, they help with the cholesterol and they also help with insulin sensitivity. So say your door, there's a key you open the door with, right? When you have diabetes, sometimes the body, the shape of the key becomes disfigured. So now when you put your key in your lock, it's not working. But when you're taking good fats, the key is the same as the lock and you're able to open it. So now when the insulin gets into the body, or when the body is using the insulin, it's able to work effectively and make sure it mops up all the sugar in the blood. takes it to the body cell so that the body can use it.
Interesting. I'm learning a lot. We haven't spoken about vegetables though. So what role do vegetables play in managing diabetes?
We spoke about complex carbohydrates. So vegetables are the easiest or simplest go-to for complex carbohydrates. They have a lot of fiber. People usually think vegetables are cabbage, carrots and all that. But then your ademe is vegetables. Your garden eggs, your contomere, they are all vegetables. So the ones accessible to you, you should make use of it. You don't necessarily need maybe lettuce or broccoli to make sure that you are taking your vegetables. They are very cheap and affordable options as well.
And so if I have a plate in front of me, how many or how much vegetables, how much protein, how much of everything that you've spoken of carbs?
Okay.
Give us the right proportion to eat so in managing diabetes.
Managing diabetes is actually a healthy eating plate. That is how we are all supposed to eat, but then we don't, so there's something.
There's something, yeah.
So you're going to divide your plate into 4 quarters. 2 of that is going to your vegetables.
2.
Vegetables does not necessarily mean your salads, your soups, your stews. So you make sure that your soups and your stews have a lot of vegetables in it. You are not sieving your vegetables after blending, because I've spoken about fiber. Once you sieve them before it goes into the soup, you've taken all the fiber out, and that is what we are looking for. So your soup is going to take half of your plate, your stew half of your plate, or your vegetables if you want to have a salad, half of your plate. A quarter of it is going to your carbohydrates, so your rice, your yam, your fufu, your banku, a quarter of your plate. Then the other quarter is for your proteins, so your eggs, your fishes, your poultry.
So if someone's eating 2 eggs, it's not bad?
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Because I know somebody who loves eggs.
Ghanaians, we like
Everything
eggs.
will add eggs.
Wow.
You can.
Hillary, so what would you say are like the non-negotiables, right? So just don't go after it. Don't yearn for it. Don't consume it if you want to be minded about diabetes and ultimately guard against it.
So refined carbohydrates, like I said, so your sugar sweetened beverages. So I don't want to mention any brand's name, but then all your sweetened beverages, your
fizzy
sodas,
drinks,
your fizzy drinks, they are not going to discard
chocolates,
that. They are all out.
Candies.
All of them are
Jolly
out.
Juice. do you know Jolly Juice?
Yes, I know Jolly Juice.
So we can't be drinking Jolly Juice. We can't allow our children drink Jolly Juice. Wow, that is rather sad.
And your fried stuff, we are not going to even talk about.
Don't do this. Okay.
Even if you want to have fried plantain with your beans, I prefer you go for boiled plantain. You can try that. It's nice. The taste is acquired.
Go there with boiled plantain.
It's what I say.
It is. You will enjoy it. You should try it. The taste is still the same. It's still very sweet.
Wow.
This is where I draw the line.
You can roast the plantain if you want.
Our producer said, "Cannot reload."
So now the should do it. Kofi Brookman. No, some way.
It's a better option. It's better to eat healthy now than be very sick and you can't eat anything.
Suffer the complications later, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. I've
learned something.
I want to say I've learned something, but I'm still battling it in my mind. But I think it was highly educative, highly insightful. So we are grateful for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Hillary. Interesting.
Monday will eat roasted plantain and beans.
Yeah. We'll try it and then we'll let Hillary know how it tastes.
Yes, I'm waiting for the feedback.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Don't go away. If you are a fan, you can try the beans and the boiled plantain or the roasted plantain.
How can you tell me the story?
On Monday and then tell us all about it on Sunday Breakfast. We'll be right back.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that? Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel 1 Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel 1 TV.
Thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel 1 TV. You understand?
This is Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who's that?
This is Sunday Breakfast. Welcome back. We focus our attention now to sports.